will get cracking. Awesome. Hey, everyone. It's John Bellamy here. I trust you are having a fantastic morning. I am here with me and joined with me today by the masterful reviewologist, if I can say as much, Mr. Scott Baker. So, Scott, thank you very much for providing your time today and your expertise around business reviews, because I know for me and for a lot of small business owners that we speak with day in and day out, this is one of those really confusing topics. Yeah, we know we want to get reviews, but how important are they? How do we use them? How do we simplify it? And most importantly, how do we leverage reviews to really help us build our brand awareness, to create quality engagement with our audience, and ultimately generate more deals, right? So there's a whole bunch of things that I'm really excited to cover on today's call. But before we do this, I want to get an intro from you, because I'm sure it's not just reviews that you specialize in. Tell the people, tell the audience what you love doing outside of the reviews aspects first. What's something that they don't know, and give us a bit of an intro. Okay, first of all, I just want to say I want you on the sales team because you summed it up so brilliantly. I'm going to grab that recording because you identified a lot of things that, as you mentioned, a lot of things that are missing with small business and the opportunities that exist. And I think it's a really great, inexpensive opportunity to take advantage of that at the moment. And you covered it brilliantly. So that was really good. I'm a single dad of 3 kids here in Melbourne, Victoria, hence the jacket and the shirt, and I'm still a little bit cool. And I live near the beach. I've got a golden retriever named Lily. She's just probably going to hear me thinking that we're going, she's heading down the stairs now, thinking that place means something. Take her for a beach, I walk down the beach. I build rock towers in the morning, love fishing. What else? I'm fascinated in like self-development and the brain science behind it. Yep. And I love hypnotic language patterns, which I teach as well. One of my favorite things is the hypnotic language patterns that's connected with the reviews. Yeah. So I love the brain science behind it all. So the reviews part of it is kind of like Net Promoter Score, Google reviews, testimonials, things like that. But it's how you can not only do all the things you talked about, but do all the 5%ers or those little and the 1%ers that just make them even more powerful. Yep. I'm not a specialist in understanding all the powers of Google, but I understand enough of the basics where the review part assists. So yeah, I love it. I love it. Thank you very much. Now, just so we're all clear, I probably couldn't, fish to save myself at all. Like, so if I was starving, I'd probably do a different method because I'm useless at fishing from that aspect. But bringing it to the reviews and everything along that side of things. I know when we had that chat a week or two ago, we were talking about hypnotic language patterns and bringing that into the review aspect. Like, how do we ask for reviews? How do we make sure that there's as less friction as possible during that process? So I definitely want to cover that today, and we'll get to a few of those things at the moment. But where I want to start is from an intro perspective, and I really want to start like our audience, just to give you an understanding. Like, our audience is primarily small medium enterprise. Okay, so they're 11 to 50 staff. We've got a whole bunch of people that it might be just a solo operator with a few teams, and they know they understand they need to be leveraging reviews, right? Yeah. They understand, hey, we've got to be doing it, but there's this blockage about how do we go about it. Like, they've probably been bashed over the head from their SEO guy, probably been bashed over the head by people like me going, why aren't you asking for testimonials or whatever that type of things like that is? And there's this blockage. So really what I want to talk about first, and then we'll get into the hows and everything, is what's the opportunity? Like, what's that opportunity cost and return if they don't take action on reviews? Because I think this is the most important thing, right? Like, we can talk about how to get them, how to use them, why they're important, but let's punch them between the face, punch them between the eyes with the cost, okay? And I know you've got some great examples of the return aspects and things like that with reviews. So take it away. So extraordinary. It's really good talking to someone who gets the fundamentals of it, because I love it, and I'm sure you'll discover some incredible stuff within it, and I'm pretty sure that people will watch the replay because there'll be some incredible nuggets that I'll share. And then there's some stuff that I can give you, like the hypnotic language patterns. I'll provide them at the end. And I prepared those for some CEOs who were very they just went, I'm not asking for reviews. But then when I presented these to them, they're like, oh, I have to ask for reviews now. It actually went from please can I have some more, sir, to we're privileged to do it. So I'll go into that in just a moment. The cost and the return is something that has been plaguing the, when you can see something from a certain angle, and I've spent years in this space, and you can see the opportunities there. And then when people get it, it's like, oh, now I get it. And only most recently, I've summarized it in a way that, imagine you're at a fine restaurant and they've got, they're bringing out the steak and they've brought these beautiful fries out. Now the restaurant has an amazing website, amazing service. It's just detailed to within its life, and everything is special about it. They bring out the fries and you're like, oh, these are amazing. And they sit them down and then you go, oh, can I just grab some sauce and some salt? And they're like, sorry, we don't have any. Like, to not have that sauce with the fries is like having an amazing website, amazing like SEO, AdWords. If you don't have them and then the person can't personalize what they're looking for to do it, it's like missing. So the cost and the return is like buying the condiments in a beautiful, beautiful restaurant or business, and not, we call it compounding the interest in your business. So you're going to invest this money, take the percentage out of what you're already doing and just put it into that, like an automatic process, or depending on the industry. And so the return is at the end of the year, if you've got 100 reviews, they're yours. Not like, it's not an ad where you click and hope for the best. It's like an ad where the client has, any review you don't get is money you've left on the table, because it's an opportunity lost. So there's a bit of, if I can, I'll give you a bit of a description. I wrote it out just so that it might make a bit more sense to people.
Absolutely.
So I created the reviewology, which is the study of reviews. So I'm a reviewologist, and so I help busy business owners find lost review opportunities, then map out how they can extract more of the existing ones so they can 10 times their review in half the time. But what I'm obsessed with is exposing the hidden secrets behind the current review opportunity that exists, so you can discover just how valuable review revenue can be across the many levels of your business. So you know how frustrating it can be when you can't get a single person to leave a review, no matter what you do, which you mentioned earlier. Well, what we do is help busy business owners automate the process with a process called review engine optimization. So this system finds their lost, hidden, missing, and ignored reviews and allows them to share them on social media so they can effortlessly fortify their reputation and then get the recognition they deserve at the same time. So there's their reputation's at stake, their social proof, their competitiveness, and all of it is like
it's the 1%ers. To me, it's these little 1%ers that make all the difference.
Connectors. And it's the sticky, it's the glue. Because I ask people they'll go, oh, I'm not too sure about reviews. I go, what was the last service you purchased? They tell me, and I go, what was the defining factor? And they go, oh, the reviews. Now, that's why this is still an opportunity. So the people you just described that are in this group, they're the ones I want to work with. I had another business selling into retail, into Woolies, Big W, and came up for 12 years. And we were doing infomercials, right? So I was training sales guys on a 4-page script, and they had to know it perfect. And we would generate between $10,000 to $15,000 per week per store with someone who was doing infomercials. And it was an incredibly powerful process. But in those 4 pages, if they were calling me saying that they were struggling, I knew which sentence they'd left out because of the power of it and the hypnotic language. Now, people are like, oh, hypnotic language patterns. We're all, we run subconscious the majority of the time and conscious. We think we're running on our own choices, but they're all filters that we're running. And I won't go into all of that. But the passion that I have is that there's all these, if you're, what I'm excited about is when people hear the hypnotic, have I shared the hypnotic language patterns with you about the,
you and I have spoken, and we'll share them with everybody here as we go, but they're definitely powerful. And I think, like for me, from our conversation, and I want to delve into that, is like a lot of the time when we're speaking to business owners, it's like you sort of mentioned before, I don't ask, but the unconscious block is usually, I don't know how to ask, or I don't know what to say, or am I imposing on them? the way, and and the way I look at it, and it's pretty cut and dry from my perspective. Your customers, your future customers, they're buying from somebody. It might just not be you. Okay. So you getting out of your own way, getting out of your own BS around asking for a review, it's like sending a connection request on LinkedIn. Just send the bloody thing. Yeah. If you get out of your own way and just allow it to happen, like if you believe in your product or service or solution, whatever you want to call it, if you believe in it, and that you're providing a quality outcome for your clients, of course they want to share something positive about you. Of course they want to do it. People naturally want to help people. Yeah. And I think this is where that block is. And I know, because here's the thing from what I love about you, Scott, and this is what I hope everyone gets from this today, is there's getting a review, which is, yeah, great, no worries. I sent someone an email. I said, it's like asking for a referral. Oh, who do you know? There's that. But then there's literally a systemized scientific way in order to implement that strategy into your business so that you can continue to get multiple reviews as you continue to fly and leverage them so your business grows as a result. And that's what I want people to really understand about working with you.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And so the exciting things about all that is that when you can move past, there's the client we're about to start with who have the most extraordinary product, extraordinary service, and they're so humble, they're nervous about asking for the review. And I said to them, do you know what? It's almost, you're doing them an injustice almost, because you're so good at what you do and you've got such a loyal following. For you not to ask is almost like, and I said, so then I read them the language patterns and they just went, oh yeah, please, because it changed, it turned it from being a request to a thank you. So instead of, hey, can you do this for us? And I know we're leading into this, and so people will stick around.
Let's hit them with it now. Let's hit them with those language patterns. Let's give it to them.
Okay, we'll give them a couple of sneak peeks. Yeah. So I'll read a couple out, and these, what I've recommended with the CEOs and that is have them on the desk. And this is really critical. There's some software out there that can automate it. And I've got clients who are coming to me because they're automating it and it's actually gone backwards and they're not using my system, or they're using a system they're using my system, and they're not, and it's not, they're doing it because they think one size fits all, and it definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
And just bringing it back to what you were saying before about, we've got clients that had, say, 8 reviews after 7 years, and then 10 reviews after 12 years, whatever. And in the last 6 months, one's got over 200 and the other one's got over 150. And another one dominates his market so much that the beauty of a high quality review is, like I said on the Facebook post, is it's the user generated content by the client is high value SEO. So if you can get them to use the language people are searching for you, bang. If you can then get them to put a photo of it as well. So we've got another big franchise chain that we're working with, and part of some of that is let's just say they're going to be taking photos of the product because it's a really proud moment for that client. And and when they post it, it's going to be, hey, look how amazing my product is, and this amazing company wanted me to share it with you guys. And they've just gone, oh man, that is the bomb, because
it's a whole engagement, bond with the client, bond with the product, bond with the brand.
And I've worked in the vet industry, and one of the most beautiful industries on the planet, and they were having some challenges with their front end staff. And then the vets are amazing. The front end staff love animals, and there was a little bit of a disconnect. All they wanted was a bit of recognition. And it was like, hey, why don't you walk through the front door, say hi, and all these vets are like, oh my gosh, all these things are happening that I've wanted for years. And it was just that. And then I was like, the recognition is so powerful that when the review comes in, I get clients ringing me going, Scotty, got another 5, buddy. And I'm like, yeah, cool. And the little dopamine hit they get, it doesn't matter who you are, you like it. I love it when they call me. It's addictive. And they're going, and so there's a lot of little wins along the way. And that feeling irking. So we'll get into the hypnotic language patterns, and also just the revenue that's generated from reviews. One client, he says quite comfortably that he's generating at least 30% of his business is from reviews. And when he started 3 years ago, he was on 2-minute noodles. Now they sent me a photo, in-ground pool and kid going into private school a couple of weeks ago. Favorite message I've ever received. They also rang me a little bit tipsy on the Saturday night, telling me how much they love me. He's a one-man operator, right? And we didn't just use the hypnotic language patterns to get reviews. We did it to help him engage his clients before. So I'll use this as an example to the lead-in. So he's a locksmith. Someone would ring up and say, hey, can you come around at 4 o'clock? He'd say, no, I can't. So they go, well, we'll call someone else. And he rang me really distraught because he was getting all these leads, but he wasn't able to lock them in. And I said, okay, when they ring, just say to them what time. They go 4 o'clock, and you go, look, I can't do it. And if they say that, then go, look, I tell you what, if I can be there at 4 o'clock and move some things around, do you promise to be there? And the person would say, yeah, I promise to be there. And he goes, okay, because the reason why is that I do a really good job, and all my great customers always leave great reviews. Makes sense, does it not? Now, that's a hypnotic language pattern, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is you've planted the seed that a great customer leaves a great review. There's more in that. We also built the identity in the client that they want to be like the previous person. So that's the identity. So this person, so he went from losing, say, I think it was about 30 to 40% of those turning up, no one being there, to getting all of them. So what value does that place? That's huge. Time, money. And then when he gets there, they're like, do you want the review now or at the end of the job? So and then now when people are ringing going, you couldn't have that many friends rate you that highly, so you must be good. They're putting him on notice too that they'll do a review for him, and a bad one if it's not good. But they're not price hunting. They're quality hunting. So they're looking for quality. And he loves those calls. But imagine in marketing knowing where your leads are coming from, and they're telling you without having to ask. And that's another powerful aspect of it. And then they're the ones that are the influencers in their own community. So when they get the good job, they tell all their family and friends. Those guys were never going to get a key cut anyway. They just went, oh, well, John says he's good. I don't need to do the research. Bang, I'm in there.
Bang.
And at the same premium price.
Yeah.
Oh, no discount.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So let's stop there, because I want to recap a couple of things that you said in there that I think were some really cool golden nuggets. So I think number one, and we should probably investigate a little bit further, is when do I ask for a review? Okay, because I liken it to referrals. And I think the biggest problem is that people are asking at the wrong time and there's no lead up to it. Okay.
Absolutely.
So
1 million bazillion %. Yes.
Yeah. So I'd love to have a chat further about that. The second thing is the language pattern. So how do we ask about it to really to set the review up, to set the outcome up for a positive outcome?
Framing it.
Framing it in that way. And the third thing that you mentioned, and I know you and I have had a chat about this before as well, is negative reviews. Okay.
Yes.
And why are they as important as 5-star reviews? So it's just a couple of things there. Yeah. So,
brilliant. And I know we're still holding it on these hypnotic language.
Yeah, that's okay. We're going to get, guys, we're going to give them to you. So that's perfectly fine.
And we're going to provide them at the end too. So I'll give you a link and then they can have access to them. The negative review, there's companies out there saying, hey, get a negative review. And some big clients that we're working with have had people, when they find out we get the work from them, they go, well, now you need to get rid of all your negative reviews. And one of my favorite things is these marketing managers going, no. The negative reviews is what makes us real. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. So there's companies out there trying to remove the negativity. Now, granted, some of them, I've come across
some things just shouldn't be said, right? Like,
And yes, and you can't tell if it's someone who's having challenges in their own life at that particular time and they're venting, or it's true, or even a combination of it's true. What do you now need to do about it? And one of the bigger brands we worked with recently, they said, hey, here's a really negative review. This is how we're responding. And I said, stop, whatever you do, get this offline instantaneously. And there's a few points to do that. One is, here's the thing I want you to get in mind. And there's mental health attached to this, which I hadn't even considered, but I'll cover the first part, is that when you get it offline, it's for the next 1,000 or 2,000 people who are going to read it. But recently I was in a coffee shop nearby, makes beautiful coffee. He's got 300-400 reviews, but he has 3 negative ones. And I spoke to his wife and she said, when she found out I did reviews, she said, he's not sleeping. And he loves his business. And the thing is that people who love their business being discounted on maybe a 5-minute moment or something that was, so his negative review was turn up on a Sunday and I had to wait 30 minutes for a coffee, and people claim that this is a good spot or something. And I'm like, that's a great negative review.
Yeah,
right?
That's fantastic.
It means that you're
that's why you waited 30.
Yeah. So when I said to him, I said, look, the negative review is the most powerful review, because if you got 300 and only 3 negative or whatever it was, they're going to read 2 or 3 positives, but they only listen to the negative. The negatives is all, like, if there's people sitting there going, yeah, I do that. I read 5 positive and then balance it out with the negative. So in the negative, my personal opinion is, if you've made a mistake, admit it. If you haven't made a mistake, but they think you have, admit it for the next 1,000 people who read it. Because what will happen is, if I said to him, why don't you write there saying, we're terribly sorry it took that long. But this is where the next part of it is in any response, and you must respond in a good time, so Google will reward you. So it's that time, response time, is that we appreciate your comments. Yes, we find it a bit challenging on a Sunday because we're the most popular coffee shop in Mornington. This tends to be the case. So a lot of our locals pre-order that, like, something really powerful. And the people who are coffee lovers would go, man, I'm going there. If you have to wait 30 minutes, like, it's a marketing jackpot. But now imagine trying to take that away and then trying to pretend, like, the other part is pretending that everything's right all the time also has our brain, I feel, and the studies I've seen is that it's like something's not congruous. And my challenge is with some clients is they've got 5 stars at 150, 200. And it's like, no. We needed to get that down to a 4.9 because it's more believable. And and Google will reward you nearly more if you've got a good mix of negative reviews, not that you seek them. And there is software out there that gates it. I don't recommend it because Google don't like it, but you can do that if you're nervous. And then say, hey, anyhow. Did I answer that?
Yeah, no, you did. I think that the big thing as well, like human beings have got that BS meter, right, in their mind. So it's like seeing an ad on TV and you're like, yeah, right, or seeing some, Instagram influencer, you're just sitting there going, come on, mate, you're kidding yourself. And I reckon it's the same with reviews. Like your example, 200 5-star reviews, you're sitting there going, has this person bought them off Fiverr? Like instantly, those things come to mind. Have they bought that? Are they really that good? No one could possibly be that good. Yeah. And I think, and even though they are, but it's rightly or wrongly, unfortunately, a lot of human mind or human nature or whatever will probably steer down that direction. And it's unfortunate that that's the way that the majority of the population think, but it is what it is from that perspective. So I think that's a really quality comment around the 5-star review. So the other thing that I wanted to check in on that was, and we spoke about the timeline, like when should I be starting to have the conversation about the review? And I know I know you've got software and solutions. Like, at what time, if we're using an automated technology like yours and all that, at what time should we be triggering that request for a review?
Okay, really good question. And years ago, I had a Jim's Antenna franchise, and let's just say I was really good at drinking coffee and chatting with the clients, but my ability to put an antenna up would take 3 times longer than the average guy. But I just loved the people interaction. But I learned something there that, and I've since studied it, and I've since been suggesting it, and I use it with anyone who's in service or even in any industry. But it worked. This is how it works: is plant the identity in the person that you want, the client that you're with. Let them know that what other people do, because there's the Cialdini, which I base a lot of my. Have you read Cialdini Influence?
No, I haven't read that one, but it's
okay. So it's all about reciprocity, liking, consensus, commitment, scarcity. So I build all of that into it, and all of it is all of the reasons why people buy. But if you're planting that identity into the person of, so how it started was it was a really hot day, got to a house, and the lady said, "Would you like a drink?" And I just said what was true. I always recommend being true. No, it's okay. I'm pretty full. The last lady had a jug of cordial on the thing, and I'm really like, I'm good. I walk out to the truck, come back in, and what's on the table? Jug of cordial, right? Now, I'm like, hang on. I reckon this could play on everything. So there's a few things. I'll just write some notes so I can... Because I was sharing it with someone yesterday and they were laughing their heads off about, oh my gosh, you've taken this to another level. But so the next part was that someone had given me a sandwich and they said, oh, how are you? I said, oh, no, it's okay. The last lady had a plate of sandwiches and a jug of cordial. I'm like, see how this goes. Come back in, plate of sandwiches, jug of cordial. I was like, all right. Now, to be fair, I probably didn't buy lunch again for a long time because I would say
it's hard work installing antennas, particularly when you've got to have a conversation with them about it.
and then I'd say to them, I said, what's amazing about those as people is they value quality of craftsmanship and always say, hey, that seems like a great value. Are you sure that's enough? So that's a hypnotic language pattern typing. And then they'd go, are you sure this is enough? And I'm like, well, actually, I did have to do this and this. And they go, well, that's an extra 50. And they'd sometimes say, here's another 50. But I wasn't asking for any more. I was just finding that that's what good people do. It can go bad in the wrong hands, and it has been proven to do that. But with my clients more recently, and it came about by a bit of an accident, is I said, let's do 3 months, see if you like it. I might not like you, you might not like me. And most importantly, I want to work with people who value my skills, not people who are just second guessing them or it's hard work. It makes sense, does it not? Again, hypnotic language pattern. And they go, yeah. And I go, what I want you to do, though, is after the 3 months is that I just want you to, when you call me and say how much you love, how well it's gone, is that you call a few friends and then just tell them to call me and say, just invoice me. That's all they have to do. And so I get calls. Oh, g'day, you're Scott. Yeah, I've been told to just say invoice me. And I'm like, sure. Now, no price, no nothing. And I go, what's your email address? And they're like, yeah, can we get started today? Sure. Send them the invoice. And then they pay it and we go. And I'm like, this is pretty powerful. Like
that just works.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen all the time. And I say to them, hey, I'm so looking forward to when you do this in 3 months' time. And they go, so am I. So there's an example of framing what it is you want them to look at. Because if not, they'll look at what you want or the expectation. Now, I could say I've not got that right all the time. But to plant, so within the industry, in terms of, it depends on the timing. So you might look at, and it depends on the life cycle of the client. Like if you think of a locksmith, you might do 8 to 10 clients a day. It's a different transaction than a financial advisor who's had a client for 5 years.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're a financial advisor doing the same way as a locksmith, I can promise you from the evidence that I have seen with clients, it will not work.
Yeah.
Well, I've got one client we've been working for 6 months and no longer probably. And he's just come around to my personalization approach. And he's like, I should have listened. Because he just thought, well, if I ask, it's like build it, they'll come. Ask and they'll do it. No, it's not. It's so important that you take into consideration the framing of it. And part of it is, if you have a client that has a long journey with you, it's not asking at the end of the journey. You could ask anywhere from the moment you communicate with them to the moment it ends. If there's a transaction, not necessarily. Now, in the technicalities of how Google work, what I'm saying is if you've invested time and they've got value out of it, and you're a mortgage broker and spent 2 hours and gone, hey, no, you can't afford this because of this, come back in this period of time or it's not suitable. That's incredible value you have offered. And my opinion is ask them for a review and say, hey, he said no because I had to come back. Help you? And therefore people are like, oh, this guy's not just out to scam me. And then the other one is, we had a big SEO company and their clients last for 2 to 3 years and they go, we only have like 10 a month, so we don't have that many options. And I'm like, yeah, but you can ask at the start of the transaction when you transition everything from their CRM across, because you want the life cycle of the transaction in your reviews, not just the other thing. A really important part that someone brought up yesterday in the questions, and I'd like to address it now so I don't forget, is there's video testimonials and reviews. Reviews, think of Google's the most valuable or the most important referral engine in the world, right? So it's all about referrals. What they want you to do is to come back to their site all the time and make sure that you come back again and again and again. And my understanding is if they want to do that, they want you to use as many of their little assets that they have. Now, reviews come up in second or third in SEO as most important asset to have. So if you've got, I've got a mental blank. Well, I was
around the video or
yeah.
Yeah.
So with reviews, there's the visible and the invisible. You want the social proof so that you type in, say, chemicals for a lawn, and then you want to be in that option there and show that you've got more than your competitor. The reason being is your competitor might be paying for that AdWord. You're sitting there going, and they're going, hang on, why are they going for old mate down the road? But you've got 20, 30 more reviews than them. That could be just this. They might not even go to your website. Think of this. Now, for service-based businesses that it's a bigger ticket item, they're going to do more research. So they might click. Let me just take it back a step. You've done your search. I want you to think of the page you're on. The only thing you have control of right now, and this is if you don't listen to another thing I say, just get this. You'll go, okay, Scott, I know what Scott's talking about. You cannot change anything on that results page. You can't change your name of your business. You can't change the font. You can't change the size of the font. You can't change the color. All you can do is change the reviews. That's the only distinguishing factor that you have. And if you're adding to that consistently, so Google reward you if you're doing them consistently. And then what I mean by that is at least every month. They'll only count the last couple of months, and they want to see them every couple of months. They want and then the viewer wants to see the quantity and the quality. So that's where the other parts come in. But there's the visible and the invisible there.
Yeah.
But that search engine landing page is critical. It's vital that those reviews in text and getting someone to do a photo with that review give you massive value in that space.
Yep.
If you've got a higher ticket item, you might be a real estate agent, and it's a service-based, and there's a lot of that's where when they get to your site to do more research, you have a video testimonial. Now, I personally believe there's two types of testimonials. One is that, hey, working with John was amazing. What you'll find is that he helped me do this, he helped me do that. And if you're interested in this, he'll do this and he'll do that, It's good. And if you've got it, keep it. But the more powerful one is, wow, working with you, John, like personalize it to you.
Yeah.
And the person then brings in their own feeling. So, hey, working with you, John, I thought that I was going to get all these tactics on how to do LinkedIn, but what you've delivered and what time it saved has blown my mind. I now get twice as many people, higher quality leads. And remember that time when you suggested I jump on and do reach out to that franchise and what could you lose? Well, that generates more money than all of the other leads combined. And that's how much I got more time with my kids now, and I can do more things. Now I'm now talking about how you've changed my life, not because that's what we're selling, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so by personalizing that review to the person, if you can say, hey, can you do it as if you're talking to me? And there's different ways to go about that, and getting them to use the language that I was really nervous that I was just going to get into another one of those, just spam all the people on LinkedIn and do all those types of things. But your targeted approach enabled me to utilize my time. I got my money back within the first month, and you should be charging commission on top of what I'm getting is how big a value it is. And missing out on working with you would be like not paying my mortgage. Like you want that type of a connection, not if you like being structured on how to do this, he was very helpful with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying
it's got to be personalized. Get that human interaction in there, that emotion, that connection in there. So let me ask you this, because I know we had this question that came up when we were just surveying everyone over the last couple of days, and we've sort of answered it here, but I just want to get a little bit more context. So say you run like whatever, service-based business, marketing agency, mortgage broker, doesn't really matter from that side of things. But you've sort of got there's a client journey, right? So you've got the entry point, you've got, as you're working through the journey together, and then you've got the end point, the end result being, you know, they've got their loan or whatever it might be. So the question comes to, like, should we focus on one point? So should we get all our referrals at this point, or at this point, or at this point? Or should maybe we look at spreading when we're asking for referrals throughout that journey? So we've got a mixture of beginning of journey, middle of journey, end of journey. What are your thoughts on that?
Brilliant. Well, and what's really cool about that is, if you think of what you've just described, you've built a system already, right? So you ask at the beginning, and you might, and it might be, how have you found, say, mortgage broker? How have you found the data collection and working with us? How have you found? Oh, it's been amazing. Oh, really? What's been amazing about it? Here's the other thing to a review request. Some people will just say, hey, can you do us a review? That's good. But if you ask a really good question, like, what did you like most about the transition across to us? They'll go, what I like most about the transition across was blah, 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 blah. And the people who are reading go, oh, that's the part I hate the most. That's what I want. So, would you trigger that in like an automated, like, email marketing campaign at a certain point to go, hey, I'd love to get your thoughts and feedback. What was this? And then they hit reply, they give you the answer. And then would you go back and go, hey, would you be open to leaving that as a review for us? It's a really good point. And I had a client the other day who's very, I had a client, she sold her business 7 figures in the mortgage space. And one of the big things was the purchaser said, how'd you get all these reviews? Like, how did you get so many? And how we've got 180 brokers and we don't have as many as you do. And then she goes, I got a guy.
So I've got a Scott.
Yeah. So there's a few parts to it. I would say let's just go with the complete automation component. And how I would build it in is, I would there's a lot of sayings of, like, strike when the iron's hot. Like, when someone's in a good space, it's really important. But there's also that element of people get nervous going, well, I don't want to ask too much. It's really planned. It's more of a discussion. And what I've said to other clients too is that, instead of it being necessarily, like, you know how you can, when you attach one habit to another habit, and then it becomes more powerful than if you just go, I'm going to ask for reviews. Yeah. One of the most common questions that people will often say when they're bored or whatever is, are you busy? Right? So it's like a trigger. It's like, when you hear, are you busy? What I'm hearing you say is, do you want to do a review for me?
Yeah.
We might be the Pavlov's dog. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, review request. Bap, bap, bap. And it might be you have the conversation saying, you know what, we have been busy. We haven't realized just how important our reviews are. And we've had some incredible reviews from clients recently. That could be just the plant of the seed. They may hear that and they'll go do their own thing. I've got a retail client, more than 100 reviews, very premium product, incredible product, actually. And it has his own brand, incredibly good at what he does, and won't ask for reviews in the traditional sense. And I said, well, I could get them for you right now in the shop. And he's like, we haven't got one for 3 weeks. I go, I'll get one. He goes, you're not asking anyone? I said, no, I won't ask him. And so a guy comes in, he said something about what he'd liked. And about 5 minutes later, while he was waiting, I said to one of the other staff members nearby, I go, hey, Josh, did you see that incredible review that John did the other day? And he goes, yeah, why? I said, I just love it when people recognize, like, I love doing what I'm doing. And when people share that, it makes a difference. And Josh goes, yeah, it does. Now, he has no clue what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, I see the guy at the counter pulls out his phone and he's like, da, da, da. And then he goes to his car. Josh goes, hey, we just got a review from the guy at the counter. And I go, yeah. Because he wanted to be that guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. So I love it. Hey, there's been some nuggets of gold here, and I'm going to recap again because we're probably got about 10 minutes left, because I like keeping these to about 45 or so. And so what I've taken away so far, and throw something else in if I've missed it, but like for me, what I'm taking away for small businesses as sort of things to consider is, hopefully by now you understand that we need to implement a strategy. Like, number one, we need to be implementing a strategy, or if you're already asking for reviews, you need to be reviewing that strategy. So how can we amplify it, fix it, and all of those things? Speak to Scott about that. Second thing that I think it's a matter of looking at that or the marketing, sales, and fulfillment process, and then going, okay, at what point are we introducing reviews into that conversation? Or probably even better would possibly be, how are we going to integrate in our marketing stories, in our marketing messages, subliminal language or language patterns that are going to produce reviews, like an outcome of reviews, effortlessly.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're not feeling like, it's a task, we now need to go do that. No. The system's generating those things through our marketing and everything that we do. And I think the third one, which we'll get to as well, is like, what does that system look like? How do we go and automate that, or how do we go and like implement a system so that we can potentially, at that point of review, send out one link that captures the review that spreads it out across all of our socials. And I know you guys have got a platform about that. And everyone should be booking in a call and having a chat with you about that. So am I on point with those sort of three things around that?
You could be a salesperson straight up. You're like a really
value. I mean, I love it. I know we don't ask for enough. We don't ask enough at all for reviews, and we're guilty of this ourselves. That's why I wanted you on here as well. So what I want to transition to right now, because we've mentioned a couple of times, is the language patterns, and I'd love to give people just a handful, like 2, 3, like we can talk about now. Maybe if you've got some others, we can share it with them in a PDF or something.
So what I can do, just I've got 6 here that are the review-based ones. Then I've got another 17. So one of the ones I use for my business, and it's incredibly powerful, is that someone will say, "What is it you do?" And I do reviews, and they go, "Oh, it sounds like something I might be interested in." And then I'll say, "Okay, John, do you need me to convince you that reviews are the way of the future? Because I only work with successful business owners that do." Now, 9 out of 10 will say, "No, you don't need to convince me." So I don't need to, I'm not selling them anymore. I'm now educating them what it is that I do. And whatever you do, if you change those words around, and like you might be a business coach and go, "Do I need to convince you that successful people have their own coach? Because I only work with people who do." The successful people who do know that. Now I've mixed it up a bit there, but what it does is it plants the identity in the client. They go, "No, I want to be that. Yes, I understand that. No, you don't need to convince me." So they're selling. You want them to sell them. So the next stage, I'll then say, "Okay, well, convince me that you need reviews." So they'll then tell me, and I go, "I'm not," and I'll generally say, "I'm not too sure that this is suitable," because different industries, it depends on their timing of the business and things. But then at the end of it, they'll go, "Okay, yeah, it sounds like right." And they go, "Well, I've been trying to convince you for 10 minutes that I want reviews." And I'm like, "Now, but it's they're convincing me, not me convincing them."
Yeah.
And again, I want to check. I'm checking whether I want to work with them too, and whether they're going to be good to work with, because what I'm finding is the people, the amazing clients, and you've got was one of the Deb that you've spoken to. She's just, "Scott, do it," and like it's just she's my ideal client. So here's one of the language patterns. One of them is, and this is again, there's a few words you can change here, but this is in a language. This is in discussion, and so it is: "Don't act too quickly. Think about it some more before you decide it's right for you to leave a fantastic review for us." Now, it removes the perceived pressure to act, so it lets them discover it for themselves after they act, and then which in fact is self-persuasion, which is, and it also presupposes that they're going to act. And then the other one is, maybe you haven't decided to leave a review for us yet, but the more you think about it, the more it makes sense why we want, in this case, successful business owners like you to review us. So it places their intercession and makes it okay. It assumes that they will attend it to it at some time, and associates what it is that they're doing, and they're thinking about it and what you want them to think about. And then the other one, it's easy to, this is a statement though, it's easy to see how valuable a Google review from a successful business owner like you is it not? And that's just like, it turns it into, from a statement into a question. So it turns a statement into a question. And it's also a confusion technique. And so the person would have to really think about it to disagree with it. Like, do they want to not be successful? Do they, like, it makes, like, you're building them up. It says, it makes sense we'd want a review from someone like you. One of the things I want to share here is do it on social media. And this is what we learn in learning language patterns and hypnotic language patterns, and including some of these in your emails. I use them quite a bit. Like one of the ones that we use I use it on the when someone says, I'm going to have to think about it. Usually it's a 48-hour max before they come back to me. It used to be a week or two. Now it's 48 hours. So it's good. Don't act too quickly. Think about it some more before you decide it's a great fit for you. So in that one, it unconsciously, don't act too quickly, is unconsciously dropping the suggestion to act quickly. And the second part is an example is pure suggestion. So it's taking that pressure off, and it's saying before you decide it's a right fit for you, implying it's a right fit for you, but take the time before you decide it's a right fit for you.
Yeah.
See, the subconscious doesn't create instructions. It only follows them. That's why it's in the wrong hands. And if you're going to use these things, guys, please use them for good.
Yeah, for good, not for evil. For
yeah.
good, not for evil. The other thing I love about that is even if like subconsciously they're taking it in, right? But consciously, that they might have a different experience, even though subconsciously they're taking it. But consciously, what I love about it is the language that you're using, and the way I look at it there as well is like, I want to not eliminate tire kickers is probably the wrong word, but hey, don't rush this, because we want to work with you when you're ready. Like if you're not ready yet, that's cool. Like
do what you need to do before you decide.
Do what you need to do. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste our time or anything like that. I want to work with you when that timing's right. I'm going to be here.
And what's powerful though is with hypnosis, right? The brain doesn't hear the word don't. It hears act quickly. Yeah. It says don't act too quickly. It doesn't hear don't. It hears act quickly. Yeah. But our conscious mind hears, oh, good, he's not rushing me. Yeah. But subconscious is going, I better act.
Go. Yeah. I love it. So this is really important stuff. So there's a couple there, which is great. And if you're open to sharing some more, I'm not sure if you've got like a PDF or something like that we can share with the community and all that.
I've got 2 Google Docs. One will be the language patterns, which will have 6 of them on there. The other one will be just 17 hypnotic language patterns, and it'll give the explanation as to why they work. And you can use them in your emails. And I was really quite nervous the first time I used them, but the client actually spent twice as much money. He just went, I don't know what it is you've got, but I have to have it. And I was like, whoa, okay. And he was cold as of a lead, and it was an email. He called me out of the blue. He'd said he'd heard about me. I sent him an email, and he was like, when I say not like on the hook, he was just like, the patterns must have comforted, like it's like a, I don't know, brain massage or something. Yeah. For the people who, and again, use it for good. We've got another client that's using it in some email sequences, and this person came back with the most horrific complaint, and it was just so out of whack. And the hypnotic language patterns that they used in response was one of the most beautiful responses I'd ever seen. It was all out of the same technique. And what it did is it made the person who had attacked them, it put them in this like little bubble of, hey, it's completely understandable you feel this way. And if I was in your shoes, I would too. And what we'd like just express to you is the reason why you experienced it is because we're actually doing what it is you thought we weren't. And it went through the things. Now, they didn't want the person to come back. They were actually very adamant they didn't, but they said, so based on this, and the person came back and said, I was really upset. I can see that you really care, but it's not a fit for me. Now, how they responded was a beautiful response, because you would never have imagined they could have responded after how terrible it was. But what it did is it made them realize that, hang on, I was angry that day and it didn't work. But to what you were saying before about what we do is we personalize the front end and systemize the back end. So when I work with clients, it's like it's strategizing what it is that you want to achieve. How do you want the client to feel at the end of the transaction? And then when you know what that feeling is, it's like, okay, let's reverse engineer it to, okay, do we want to make them feel special? Now we systemize it to the point of SMS is 99% open rate, depending on the industry. But we've got a bin company that sends it out at the beginning of the campaign, just as soon as they get off the phone, which is really weird. And it's like, you haven't even got the bin here, dude. And then by the end of the campaign, they're like, well, we'll see how good this is. And then they get these great responses. Now it's an incredible way of doing it. And I don't recommend it for lawyers, but it works good for those guys. So with our system, it's if you're sending one review and not getting a request, that's probably why. 30 to 40% of the reviews from clients come on the second or third follow-up, which is automated.
Oh, follow-up. Oh, isn't that interesting? Just like in marketing, reviews require follow-up.
Yeah. So let's pretend you've sent it out, you get a good review. Our system, if there's different ways and different parts on how you can do it. But if you were going the full system and you wanted to automate the whole lot, you would jump on, you do the response. You can automate that. Don't recommend it, but you could respond as quickly as you can so Google reward you. Then what you want to do is once it's done, you can automate it so any review 4 stars and above automatically generates onto your social media and onto your website. And then it's a matter of then saying, hey, to the client who's done the review, hey, can we tag you in this and can you share it? Now, let's just say the opportunity and the revenue that's generated from that is huge. And you imagine a lookalike audience who love getting the lock done by that thing. They go, hey, just use Jason, he was amazing. And they share it on their 500 plus lookalike audiences in the same area. They go, oh, I need a key cut. I don't want to do all the research. John's the man or whatever. I'm going to just call them and then bang. So those are incredible. And so in terms of investment, if you're investing in SEO and AdWords, or even you've got a website and you haven't, we're not suggesting spending another cent on any of those things. It's just pulling a percentage out. Think of it like your savings, the compounding interest in your business. Pull out some, just a little bit, instead of throwing it all. Put that into your review platform. So then next year, if you're not doing, you'll be able to reduce, like the locksmith guys reduced his AdWords spend significantly. I think he was doing say he was doing a couple of grand a month, let's say. He's reduced that massively. He's only working, say, 9 to 5 instead of 7 till 10. They're quality clients. So it's had a bigger impact than just those elements. And he can pick and choose the better quality clients now. And so there's a lot of things that come in.
It's making the intangible tangible, and I think that's the key with it. And for me, I sit there and I go, like, and we're not going to go into costs and all of that. People should have a chat with you because it's all going to be different around that aspect. But I think the way I always look at it is go, well, what's a client worth to you? Long-term value, whatever that might be, and go, okay, if I'm going to invest, in a review platform, in a strategy behind that. How many clients do I need to, generate ultimately in order to get my ROI? That's the way that I always look at it. But I look at it from, so there's that, tangible dollar for dollar. The other way that you've got to look at it is going, well, how's this going to impact my brand long-term? Okay. So if I'm sitting on 5 reviews now and in 12 months, I take it from 5 to 50, what's that going to look like? How's that going to give me presence from a social media perspective? Like you're essentially creating part of your social media content throughout all of this.
And all of these automate that for you too.
Yeah. So there's all of these little tangible things. So I'm gonna wrap it up there, Scott, because I think I reckon you and I could talk about this for days.
Just one extra thing is, when I speak to a client, I'll ask them, what's your most valuable asset? And nearly every time they say reputation is my most valuable asset. And I go, 100%. Unreal, fantastic. Can I just check, what is it you're doing to protect it or fortify it at the moment? And it's like, drop the mic. What? I'm not. And it's like, so it's not just all those other things. There's that value on top of it. And there's the lifetime value of a client is exactly like, we've got one client, all they need is one, and it'll pay for 4 years of the service with me. And it's less than $2,000 for 12 months to do most of all this automated. Like and that's just that's with a strategy and everything. So we're not talking huge amounts of money. And if you're in another country like the US, it's less for you because it's Australian dollars.
So it's awesome. So Scott, what I want to do, I really appreciate you taking the time out today. For me, just the couple of the key things, just to recap from my end there that I took away was number one, get it, like you've got to be open to bringing reviews as part of your strategy. Like it's just got to be a foundational aspect of growing your business. Number two, we've got to actually put a strategy behind that to make sure that we're not just, we're not just the shotgun approach of as far as, who are we going to do it? Let's actually have a clear strategy, implementing language patterns and making sure that it's not a task. It's a part of our process, a part of our client journeys from that aspect. And the third thing is 100% they need to be speaking to yourself to, you know, to at least have that conversation about what that could possibly look like and the positive impacts of generating some type of strategy or review. So with that said, Scott, how should people get in contact with you? What's the easiest way? I know we're going to share some resources with everybody watching this, but like, what's the easiest way?
I would say either just send me an email at scott@mybizreviews.com.au. If they're in the Facebook group, reach out to me in there and send me a private message in there and let me know you have, just in case it doesn't come through into that other part. But I'd say email would probably be certainly the best. And if that would be great. And I can also put on, there's some really good platforms out there that are that you can use if you're not doing a lot of requests that are free. So I'll add them so you can use some software that I'll share that's free, that'll help you do that. It doesn't let you do SMS for free, but it will let you do little bits and pieces. So I'll outline like which one does what. And then there's some other links for other sites for other guys that are really inexpensive and they pack a good little punch and they're just for reviews. And then there's other ones, if people want to do the whole box and dice type thing, they can have
for me, Scott, at the end of the day, we need to be speaking to you. And like at least going, okay, cool. This is the strategy. And then I reckon more than likely, you know, knowing the value that you guys offer, it's just a matter of time. Hey, are we doing it now? Or is it next quarter that we're going to implement this strategy? That's the key thing from it. And they should be working with yourself on that, particularly because it's not just, and I hope this is what people get. It's not just about a review. It's about the whole science behind it and how we're actually implementing a strategy that's going to emotionally connect and make your audience feel good for actually providing the review. And it's not transactional.
It's almost like the heartbeat of your business. It's like if you can keep on top of it, you can find, like, even go, like look at your competitors, what are they complaining about, and then offer that. It's like, hey, they're complaining about this, this, and this, and up the road. Well, we're going to offer that because other people are complaining about it. Like there's little strategies within all of this, and there's even within our platform too. You can look at what your competitors are doing. You can see how, if you're like, and you can look at where you sit in the industry and all those things, which a lot of it is, it's all automated, but it gives you that transparency to go, okay, I'm doing what, at least I now know. It's like you can't unlearn what I've just said now. So let's figure out what we can do to take advantage of, because there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. And I really believe like the asset class of being able to use it as a sales thing at the end when you sell your business, but to be able to dominate either the local area or be the leader in your space, you'll be pulling the competitors' client, like you'll be dragging them into your funnel because you're just going to be that, well, and then if you're too busy, like we've got clients that are so busy, they're going, hey, we want to ramp it up the high level ones so that we only pick the premium clients and push the rest to our competitors. And that's been very popular recently. And it's really red carpet personalized review requests for each staff member, and you can help them. Like it's
love it. There's so much stuff that they do. So we're going to get all of that out to everybody, Scott. We're sending this to the database as well so everyone can go and see it. Definitely go and connect with Scott on LinkedIn as well. Send him an email for the reviews and make sure that you take advantage of having a conversation and really taking advantage of leveraging reviews in your business. Scott, thank you again for joining us today. Really appreciate it. I'm going to stop the live stream there and give us a wave, and everybody stay tuned. We'll be back with another interview again real soon. Thanks again, Scott.
Thanks, mate.